Removing empty code snippets. In this video tech note, we will create and remove some empty code in our C# program. I have the commission form from the commission solution open on my screen. Before we create and delete some empty code snippets, let's look at the files we have. There are two tabs. One is for the design, and that's the form, and the other one is the CS or the C# tab, and that has our code in it. There's one other file that is of interest to us, and it's the designer file. I'm going to double click and I'm going to remove this. This is the code that is associated with all of the different controls that I have put on the form. When you place a control on the form, you set a number of properties for that control. These include the location, the tab index, the size, and the name, among other things. Now, you've got an option. You could have actually written all this code yourself, or you could use the IDE to drag the controls on the form. In this way, Visual Studio is a productivity tool. Personally, I'd rather drag and drop than writing all this code. Now, what I'm going to do is close this window right here. Sometimes that's hard to do. There we go. I'm going to close that window and get back to the windows that I had. Since I don't need the Solution Explorer anymore, I'm just going to let that stay off the screen. To create a code header, we double-click on the control. I have one in here, the calculate. This we've already done. We've written the code. Here's the code header right here, and it also, when I double-click on that, I get the two sets, or the set of curly braces. Now let's return to the form. Sometimes what I do, by mistake, I double-click on a control or the form, and I'm going to do that. That brings up an empty code snippet. I've got my header and I've got my two curly braces. So I want to get rid of this. I'm going to select it. When I select it, before I delete it, I'm first going to look at it to make sure that I have exactly two curly braces, one on the left and one for the right. I don't want too many or not enough. Now, I've checked it twice. Everything looks good. I'm going to use a keyboard key, either the backspace key or the delete key, to delete the empty code snippet. And it's gone. Now, what I'm going to do is to save all right here. Save all. It's now saved. I'm going to build and build the solution. Okay, this produces an error message. Let's look for a minute at the error list that has shown up. There are two kinds of compiler errors. One I call fatal errors, and we have to get rid of those before our code will run, and others are warnings, which are just that, just warnings. We look at those, but we don't have to worry too much about them. I'm going to read what this says. It says the commission form does not contain a definition for the form load. Let me go back and find that. Oh, I've deleted it. And no extension method. I'm not even sure what this is saying, but it's in that form designer file that we just looked at. It's line 190, column 55, and here's my project. Now it's in another file, not the file I'm looking at now, and it's line 190. My line numbers are showing, and there is a tech note in the course website that shows you how to display them. I've chosen to display them. I want to get to this line so I can get rid of this line, and the way I'll do that is to just double click. Notice it has opened up the Designer tab tab again, and it's identified or found the line with the error. This is the form load line 190, that was generated when I double-clicked the form. It gave me the form load procedure or the form load event code header, and it was doing that stuff for me that Visual Studio so nicely does when it's a productivity tool. So when you create something on the form, when I double-click, I create something in the C# area tab and in the designer, and when I've deleted it here in the C#, I have not completely deleted it because I've only deleted one out of two places. So now I've selected it. I'm looking at it again to make sure I've only selected this line, and I'm going to delete it. I'm going to save all, build the solution, and now my errors have gone away. I can delete this again. Let's go back. I'm going to do the process again by creating another empty code snippet just to review. This time I'm going to double-click on the total sale text box, and I get the total sale text changed code snippet. I'm going to select this portion, check to make sure I've selected the right amount of code for deletion. I'm going to press the delete key. I will save all. I will build the solution, get my error again, go and delete this line from the designer file, save all, build my solution, and I have no errors. There we go. I'm going to close the error list by clicking on the X, and I'll just come down and focus on my form again. In summary, it's easy to create an empty code snippet that you don't want or need, and before you submit an assignment you should remove these. Carefully remove the line or lines of code in the C# area in here. We will do a save all, a build, and build the solution. Double click on the error message then to navigate to the line in error. Carefully delete it, save it again, build, and build the solution. In this video tech note, we have created an empty code snippet or two and deleted it in the two places that it is created. It's inevitable that sometime in this course you'll create an empty code snippet and need to delete some code. Make sure you delete it in both the CS and in the designer CS files.